Good morning. Welcome to Plugged In. We will be talking about Joseph again right after this. If you're joining us live, sorry for the delay this morning. It's Monday, so sometimes that happens. Partly on my end and partly some technical difficulties. But hey, the snow is melting, the temperatures are high, and we're back together. Hey, I'm glad to be here with you this morning. Question to get us started. Have you ever experienced a moment in your life where everything seems to be going pretty smooth, pretty successful, no major hiccups? In fact, there are some particular opportunities that have presented themselves to you, and then all of a sudden, the rug has just been pulled out from under you. That phrase, the rug being pulled out from under me or under them or under you, means that basically a person suddenly experiences a loss or has experienced disappointment. It can also mean that someone took away support or assistance. And Joseph has had the rug pulled out from under him again. Up to this point, Joseph's life, especially from the age 17 to present, and he's probably about mid-30s by the time we hit this story, it's been filled with some ups and downs. There has been some good moments, but then there have been some valleys. The valleys a lot were, his brothers hated him. His brothers sold him into slavery. A high point was he was hired on by Potiphar, and he was given responsibility over all the things of the house. But then Potiphar leaves for a business trip, and Potiphar's wife comes on to Joseph. Joseph denies it or says, I don't want to have anything to do with you there in that area. And so she falsely accuses him of sexual misconduct. Potiphar hears about it. He throws him into jail. And, well, here he is. Okay. But then he's been there for a while, and he's won the favor of the warden. The warden has given him the responsibility of overseeing all of the other prisoners. And so that gets us to chapter 40, where two new prisoners come into the prison where Joseph is at. Now, this story is found in chapter 40. Not going to read it. It's only about 23 verses long. But we have some other things to cover. I do want to encourage of you to take the time to read it in its entirety. Take just 5 or 6 minutes to read that so that you can catch the full story. I'm just going to give you the highlights. So there are two officials who the king fully trusts. One of them is a cupbearer, and one of them is the baker. Now, the baker, obviously, his job is to cook the food for the king. The cupbearer has a little bit more risky job. He has to test the food and or the drink to make sure that it's not poisoned. So these are highly trusted men, but something triggers the king to investigate them, and he doesn't like what he has found, and they are thrown in prison. Joseph is given the responsibility to oversee them. And as he does, one day he notices that they are both looking a little gloomy. And the reason is the night before they both had a dream, but they could not interpret the dream. So Joseph interprets the dream. Now, this is where you can read more in detail of what goes on. But basically, here's what happened. The cupbearer is told that in 3 days, the king is going to restore him back to his original position. And Joseph tells the cupbearer that when this happens, hey, don't forget me. I mean, I've interpreted this dream for you. I've done something good for you. You do something good for me. Now, the cupbearer doesn't actually say to him, okay, I'll do that. But it's insinuated that the cupbearer, hey, I'm going to repay the favor. The baker, he is told his dream. Unfortunately, his doesn't turn out as good as the cupbearer. 3 days later, he is going to be hanged. 3 days later, it's the king's birthday. He has a great big feast. And sure enough, the predictions come true. The cupbearer receives his position back. The baker, well, he loses his head. Here's what happens, though. In Genesis chapter 40, verse 23, we find these words. The chief cupbearer, however, did not remember Joseph. He forgot him. You know, the cupbearer had Joseph to thank about the news that he had received that he would be freed. Now, we don't know if he did it on purpose or it just slipped his mind. We're not told that in the story. What we are told is that he forgets Joseph. Maybe he's like one of the 10 lepers that Jesus healed, and he just got so excited about his healing that he didn't go back to see Jesus. So it's very possible that the cupbearer is so excited to have his job back that he gets caught up in the moment and he forgets Joseph. Whatever the case, Joseph has to wait for another opportunity to be freed from prison. And he's going to have to wait 2 full years. Obviously, there's times that we have the rug pulled out from under us. There was a poem that Mother Teresa wrote some years ago. And so this morning as we close, I want to read just a portion of that. It goes this way. People are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you do good, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Do good anyway. Honesty and frankness make you vulnerable. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, there may be jealousy. Be happy anyway. And then there's this last line. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Do good anyway. Joseph continued to do good, even when good was not done to him. And his reward is coming because he has been faithful in working for the Lord. Thank you again for joining us each week. Share these, like them, pass them along, tell some people at your workplace, in your neighborhood, and we look forward to seeing you every Monday morning. We'll be back next week for Plugged In.